Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. This week, we have on none other than Billy Stevens, the CEO of BillyGo, the CEO of SeraSystems. He is our third time guest on the show, and it was so worth it because he dropped so many nuggets in this episode. Thad, what were some of your favorite parts of the show?
A lot. Every time Billy speaks, there's wisdom for any HVAC business owner or any person in that matter to be able to take some nuggets out of it. I'm a numbers guy. I like key performance indicators. Billy talked about the 4 key performance indicators that they look at in both BillyGo as well as what they coach business owners in Sera. Be sure to pay attention to that part because one of them has to do with helping you out in the shoulder season and helping you stay busy. Billy, how about yourself?
All right, guys. Well, what I liked the most was when I saw that the Gallup poll did some research on our industry and said that we're only 38% efficient. It blew my mind when I saw that number. And so I immediately had to start working on this and improving it. And so just at BillyGo alone and some of our other folks that are on Sera software, we have seen them double their efficiency in just a matter of 90 days. That's the same as basically doubling your staff without actually hiring anyone else. Check that one out.
That was a great part.
Double your business, double your profits without hiring more people. I don't know who would be interested in that.
But there's also a special offer that we give at the end of the show too, by the way. So pay attention to that one.
Definitely.
That's a big one.
Yeah, that is a big one.
All right, Evan, what you have?
My favorite definitely has to do with the idea of role playing. And this such a subtle, simple thing that you can do in your business. But Billy talked about something specifically that they do within BillyGo around role playing. And it was so subtle when he mentioned this, but if you actually pay attention to it, it's incredibly important for your business. Role playing, you cannot overlook its importance in your business, in your training. You need to be practicing what it is that you want improvements on within your business, which all ties back into what this whole episode was about, which was efficiencies. And I know you're going to really appreciate that part, but we also want to hear from you. What were your favorite nuggets from this episode? So as you're watching, make sure you drop it down in the comments. Hit us up, info@onpurposemedia.ca, and join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. Can't wait for you to take in the show, and we'll catch you on the live one next week. Cheers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed with Thaddeus and Evan, where we have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, gentlemen. Billy, welcome back. Cheers. Our first 3-time guest on the show, also a sponsor of the show with SeraSystems. And guess what? When you're a sponsor, you get to do what you want. No, I'm only kidding.
Well, half kidding.
Here's the thing. If Billy didn't add tremendous value to the industry as a whole, to all of our listeners, we probably wouldn't have him on this often. But the fact is, he drops so many golden nuggets that we can't help but get enough Billy Stevens. So Billy, thank you so much for coming back on and sharing some more about efficiency within your business and why that is so important for business owners. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys having me back, even though I had to pay for it. We know better.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I know you will.
But we are going to dive in today. Billy, actually, first off, you wanted to show us what you were drinking this week. You do have ranch water, but it's a special ranch water.
Yeah,
so what do we got?
Of course, I have my typical ranch water. This week, we have Clase Azul.
Ooh.
And this is for all the guys out there that want to start their own bar. You buy a pretty bottle like this for your wife, and then automatically you're able to start your own bar and have your own bottles sitting around. So good way to do that.
As long
Perfect.
As it's 30.
Right?
Yeah.
Doubles as a vase after you're done, too.
Yeah. Or you can put your ball cap on it or something.
There you go. Exactly.
Even better.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are we diving into today?
Well,
what are we getting into?
on the first show, I lightly mentioned job type efficiency. We were building this in our software. And then last time we had a little bit more detail about it. And I put together a slideshow so we can actually show everyone how easy this works and how it really builds efficiency in your business to drive your bottom line numbers. And so today, that's really what I want to do. I want to just get it out there, let people see it. Hopefully they'll watch this a couple of times and get the understanding of how this works. Mm-hmm. This has never been done in the software world. It's something that we're very proud of. And not very long from now, we will add the inventory piece, the parts piece to it. So you'll have job costing, like you've never had before, and it's all live. So you'll know what eventually once we have the inventory piece, the parts piece in here, you'll know what your margin and job costs are as soon as a job closes. When you get the payment, you'll know I made money or I didn't make money on this job. Mm-hmm. And so this is the first step of this, and this is the largest piece of it.
Well, and that's huge. I mean, there's so many owners that don't know how to read a financial statement in the first place, which that in and of itself is so troublesome. And I know that's a big thing that you're doing an amazing job at changing the industry around that and getting people to understand what it is that they need to know in terms of cash flow into their business. But being able to see it in your CRM software immediately as a job gets paid, that's going to be something special.
Mm-hmm. I guess. Well, on a per job basis is something fascinating and unique. Like a previous unnamed industry that I used to work in is it's a joke. I'm not allowed to say it anymore because I said it too many times. But we used to, like, on a per job basis, they used to know, and like they're bigger jobs, right? Granted, like they're a couple week jobs. It was in putting in larger complex systems, and they knew on a per job what their efficiencies were from a gross margin standpoint, and that all factored into the net. But it was kind of neat in this industry because there was new construction, there was retrofits, and then there was just added bolt-on work. But you could actually see, okay, well, the new construction made up 20 million, 30 million of the $50 million per year business. But the net was only, the gross was only 10%. And so their nets were obviously a lot smaller on that, where you look at the work that I was doing, the gross margins were 55, 60%. And we were, doing 10 million of that in a year. And so that made up a lot of it. And then you could actually see it on not just on a per job level, but also now you could see their new construction, they could see the retrofit, and they could see the bolt-on work. And so how this works in this industry now is, well, okay, well, your service work, your install work, but now you can even break it out further, and you can say, okay, these types of installs, these types of, whether it's depending on the area that they're in. I mean, if they're in Florida, there's not really any furnaces, it's just air conditioning. But you go up to the north, now you can say, okay, well, on furnaces, we make this. On air conditioners, we make this. On packages, we make this. And so it gives you a greater control in the business to be able to say, here's where my money is going. And then from a marketing standpoint, you can then market more to the things that make you more money.
Exactly.
Which is fascinating. I'm excited to see what you got on the slide.
That's a big numbers guy. So
I'm a big numbers guy. That's why in our business, I'm technically the operations person and he's the CEO person, or however you want to call it. But I like numbers. I like efficiency. So
pretty face and the guy that we stick on the back end.
Right.
Same reason I'm in the numbers.
Yep. There we go. Thanks, Billy.
All right. Let's dive in.
All right. Let's get going. All right. Looking forward to this one. All right, so JTE, or job time efficiency, is what we call it. And this is the secret weapon to doubling your bottom line. We'll tell the punchline after we're finished.
Shake, rattle, and roll. See if anybody can guess what's going on first.
Yeah. All right, so here's a typical question I ask contractors. How many hours does it take to install a complete AC system? And the obvious number that I get most of the time is 8 hours. And this is a very untrue number because typically an air conditioning install requires 2 people to do it. And if they're there for 8 hours, you're actually paying 16 hours. So you just cut your cost of labor or whatever in half. It's double basically of what you're figuring out. And so this is where flat rate pricing really drops the ball, and where it breaks down is because we've been told that we need to do flat rate pricing, and it's anywhere from 300 to 500. I've seen people as high as $600 per hour on flat rate pricing. And to make the numbers work, they manipulate the time on the job. And so now they have no way to track how long it takes to actually do this stuff, how much I'm actually paying everyone that touches this job, because flat rate won't allow it, because the number is such a ballooned up number that you can't break it down by labor cost, and you can't break it down by the labor that you should be charging for each hour. And so this is typically what we see here. And so to make it very simple, if you have techs that sell, you can pretty much guarantee it's about an 18-hour job, because the tech was there. For whatever reason, he was at Mrs. Jones' home and he realized that he needed to sell her a new system. He's there a couple hours. There from the tech app, he can schedule the install crew. And that install crew typically has 2 people in it. And so that's 16 more hours of labor that you're going to pay. And if you have an install crew that gets red tags quite often, and you need to add another hour, hour and a half to that job, because these costs are real. Someone has to go back and fix this red tag. And you can track whether these guys are getting red tags or not. But the thing about it is, you can also see how often you have a 3rd service call or a 4th service call, or an appointment, we call it. There's one call and then several appointments. And so if you have to go back continuously on these jobs to for whatever reason, then you need to add another hour or 2. And you'll see that in the report. And we're going to get into how this works. So using margin-based pricing, you can actually use the real hours that it takes. So if you have a salesperson, tech flips it to a salesperson sells it, flips it to an install crew. Now you're looking at 20 to 22 hours worth of time spent that you're paying for. And this is how we're going to track that for you. So we can track all labor across all appointments for a job. The difference between the time spent on a job and the time sold for task as part of a job is what we track. And so this is where we get the efficiency at. And this is where pricing comes in and really affects how well you're doing on your financials. And you'll get a clear picture on whether you're doing the job correctly or not when it comes to pricing your products. So you need to know the time.
Good thing there's only 14 slides.
I was like, man, I need to slow down. So here on the job time tracker, this is how I actually look in Sera. And we actually magnify this one section so you can actually see everything about that job in one spot. That's the neat thing about Sera as well. You don't have to go into numerous different places to put in information and come put in information in later. Everything is done in real time and live. So any transactions or anything that happens out in the field is automatically updated into this job, and no one has to do anything about that. So in this particular case, you'll know the time your field staff spent on the specific job and what was sold, and then you can review it in real time. So let's say that on this particular job, it says here that he sold 9 hours and 25 minutes. The cool thing about it is, if you're 2 hours into this job, the efficiency is like, I don't know, 1,000%, right? And it counts itself down as you go. So anytime you look at the job, you're actually getting a real efficiency number as the time goes on. So you can actually watch it if you wanted to, if you don't have anything else to do, I guess. But in this
get the job done so that your efficiency rating can stay higher.
Right. And so in this particular case, we have 76% job efficiency. So we sold 9 hours and 25 minutes, but we actually took 12 hours and 28 minutes to do the work. And if this becomes a consistent thing that happens in your company, you can make the adjustments to the additional 3 hours that you need, and you can raise your prices by those 3 hours based off of your margin pricing. Right. And this is how you drive yourself to 100% efficiency. Because the reality is you paid all these people, more money than what you brought in on a time basis. Okay. All right.
So real quick on this one, where does that average sold hours come from? Is that something that you just have to kind of guess in the beginning? Is it something that's based off of
Right.
averages from each technician?
Great question. So that's one of the reasons why we have BillyGo, and BillyGo is our beta testing company, and we do HVAC, we do plumbing. And so we go in and we start working on these times. And when we provide this product to you for the first time, it would have the times that we've created based off the information we got while we were in beta testing. So you have basically a baseline of where you should be, and then you can use this for a month or two and see where you're trending versus where the numbers are that you were given. And then you can make those adjustments. I mean, you can dive down by department, and you can go all the way down into the tech itself and see the efficiency for each technician, which creates a great opportunity for training, because you're going to get more information where you can sit down with a guy on a one-on-one situation and go, here's what we're seeing, that of the 5 other guys that have done this particular job, task, if you will, you're consistently, 50% takes you 50% longer than everyone else in the company, and I'm just wondering what can we do to help you, or what is there that we can do to help you? Is it we just not enough time for you, or just let us know how we, you have a one-on-one meeting with more information, basically.
Right.
And making your technicians aware of efficiency makes them better at their job, because they take pride in this stuff once they know it. They want KPIs just like the company does. And this is a KPI that these guys can use and actually help the company with the bottom line, which in turn should be given back to the employees, a portion of that, because you're making more money. So you want to hire more techs, so you are able to pay more.
Well, and would that help with, and I'm curious because I know obviously with Sera, the dispatching is AI based. Would you be able to base your dispatching off of that as well? So if one tech is more efficient on an install for an AC, but not as efficient on a mini splitter, not as efficient on a water heater, we wouldn't send them out for those jobs. Like
I would send the more efficient crew.
Right. Exactly.
Right? That's what I would do. And
yeah.
And then I would find things for this crew to do that aren't as critical.
Right.
You got to get something in now, and you send a more efficient crew.
Love it.
So this is basically reporting. So you can dive into this report and you can pick a job. The cool thing about having Sera software is anything you see that's blue there, you can just click on it and get to where you want to go. And you can dive into this as deep as you want. You can do it by job number. You can do it by tech. You can do it by the percentage. Just if you want to go in and dive in on the percentage, that's all the way to the right. And so this collects all the calls as they go throughout the day. You can look at it for the day. You can look at it for whatever time frame you want to look at it for. The cool thing about this report is we can actually pick up job times. If you move over from another software, we can pick up the job times from that older software and show you where you were and then now where you are after you're using this for a while, which is a really cool feature.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just zero back in on this part right here, this 76% efficiency. And we chose 76% efficiency for a reason, and you're going to see that on a slide or two later. So here we got all these guys and combined, the salesman, the technician, and the install crew, if that's how many people you had on this job, took them combined 2 hours and 1 minute to actually travel to this job. Now, maybe they all stopped for gas, or one of them stopped for gas, or whatever, they had to put air in the tire, whatever it is. These are the things that you don't realize you need to be charging for, because they're on the clock, right? They are charging you, so you need to be charging for them for their time. And so we keep up with travel time. And then the actual work time. Sera knows when they arrive. Once they arrive, it turns into work time. Once they're done, once the invoice is signed or the completion of the job is signed, then the time stops, and then it starts calculating the time to the next project. Or if it's the end of the day, the time stops, because that's when you stop paying them.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, what makes job efficiency accurate? So we can account for everyone that ever touches a job. So in Sera, we understand what a job is, and then we understand that within a job, you have several appointments. you send a technician out to do a job, and he schedules a salesperson. That is an appointment. So he creates an appointment for a salesperson on the same job. So in Sera, you don't get bad KPIs. You don't have a job for every move you make. You have appointments within jobs.
Right.
So when you get a real KPI on how many jobs you do and what's the average ticket and all these things, it's for the job. And then it collects all the information for all the appointments within that job. So you get a real KPI. It's not a number that's manipulated or whatever to try to find out what it is. It is, Sera completely understands that there's a job here, and we got an appointment with a salesperson, and now we have a second appointment with an install crew, and maybe there's even a third appointment with a red tag or whatever, some reason they have to go back to the job. And all of that is combined and even the helpers that are on the job are accounted for. So who's ever riding with someone else, that's all accounted for. And so the task times are accurate and update in the price book. So whatever times you want to change, your price book immediately changes all the times, and it changes the price as well based off of the margin pricing that you set. And you can easily download the, like for instance, if you have an increase in parts or supplies, we all know that we keep getting those more often than not. And you can, in little as 90 seconds, you can update the pricing in your price book to recalculate all your pricing as soon as you get those price increases. So it just takes less than 2 minutes.
So you're just updating your price book as those come in, and away you go.
That's right.
Right.
So our price book is slightly different than what's out there. It's actually live, and it's an integral piece of what drives the efficiency in your business. And Sera knows what's happening in the price book and all these things. Now, that being said, we are actually going to be releasing this upgrade here in the next, I think 3 weeks from now, where we can actually duplicate any price book. So if you're using the new flat rate or Joe Craceris's book or any of those guys like that have these price books, we can actually duplicate that book in our price book now or in the next 3 weeks. And we can actually put these job time efficiencies within their books inside of Sera. So this is something that we're fixing to have available to everyone as well. So you don't actually have to use our price book per se, but you can continue to use the price book that you're using inside Sera and still get all of this information that you currently can't get.
Nice. I know that was a big concern that I've talked with a few guys about regarding switching over to Sera was that idea, and they didn't want to switch what their coach was telling them or whatever they had already paid for. So no, that's really cool to hear.
Yeah, so we created a marketplace on Sera. So you can go into the marketplace and you can select what you want to use. So if you want to use Joe's book, you could click on that if he became a marketplace partner and all these things. And so anybody that's in our marketplace, basically you click the ones you want to use. And then when you start onboarding at Sera, it's already set up for what you're doing. So, all right. So I'm sorry.
I just said we're on the next one already. I
Cool.
clicked because you had drank before.
Hey, don't give it away now. Using work crews is essential for job time tracking. So it's very important that we track the additional people that are on jobs. And it's something that we can do within Sera, and we made it really simple. One of the things that comes up a lot, in fact, I was at a lunch today with a customer that's on Sera, and he's like, the one thing that I don't understand about job time efficiency is, we're training a lot of guys. We're bringing in new guys. They have a handyman company. And he goes, and we have 2 guys in every truck running, and it's just really killing my numbers because I'm having all this additional time. And I go, well, that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It's telling you that your training of these new guys is costing you X amount of dollars because you are paying those guys to be in that truck. And he goes, oh, I get it now. So it's not actually telling me it's telling me I'm doing bad, but it's telling me this for a reason. And now that he needs to start thinking about his pricing when it comes to the constant training. And I asked him specifically, I said, so how often do you train? He goes, we do it constantly. We have new guys coming in constantly. I said, then this is something that you need to be charging for sure. that you're not getting. He goes, that's maybe why we're not making any money.
Right. Well, that was something that I've referenced numerous times on the show. You know, Tommy Mello has a quote in his book: charging what it costs to do a great job is in the customer's best interest. And if you're putting extra hours, extra effort into training your technicians on an ongoing basis, which you absolutely should be, you need to be charging for that, because that's part of the customer experience that you're trying to over deliver on.
Yep. And so everybody's accounted for, like it says in there in the blue, the install helpers, parts runners, new hires, apprentices, you name it. We can start job costing all of these people. And this is real job costing that you just can't get. No matter how hard you try. Trying to do this on a spreadsheet, by the time you get it done, the information's so old it doesn't matter anymore.
Totally.
And so to get all this info live is a big help in improving these businesses.
Love
All
it.
right. Next slide, please. All right.
By the way, so those that are listening later, and we'll have to put this in our podcast intro, Evan, when we do this. I have set it up so if you want to see a copy of these slides, text the word slides to 855-968-4116, and we'll send you a copy automagically. It'll happen within like seconds. So again, if you want that to see a copy, 855-968-4116.
All right. So what we have here is basically a look of what it looks like and how easy it is to manage this. So this shows basically how you can manage and editing crew member times. And if there's any changes that you need to make, it's real simple to do. And this is like a one-offs, occasionally there's whatever reason, something gets changed. Maybe maybe you have a helper on one job and you send a tech over there to pick him up because he needs him on another job and he's kind of done where he's at. This is one way you can manage that as well. And as soon as you make that change, then everything's tracked to the new job that guy's in that truck when he makes that switch, and things like that happen. Now then, this shows how simple it is. So let me give you an example. You come in one morning and somebody calls in sick. Say your technician calls in sick. And he had, or it's an install crew and the install lead is out sick, or helper, whoever. You can easily manage within seconds, just dragging one of those people over to another guy, and now you have an instant crew. You can also have the same crews all the time, so you don't even have to do this. This is when you have an exception in the day. Say, for instance, when someone calls in sick, you got a helper that needs to go somewhere and didn't have a guy to go with because he called in sick. And this is how you can reassign him to go somewhere else and keep up with his time as well. It's just real simple drag and drop. So basically the number one circle there is a helper. And then the 5 guys that are in the boxes with the names, this is kind of small, so I can't see those names, but you just take and drag that person that has the blue inside their box, the light blue there, and you just slide it right underneath whoever you want, like they did in the second number 2 graph, and then that's it. That's just that simple. And now you're tracking everything you need to track for that job, but that wherever they're writing now.
Drag and drop technology.
Right.
Yes, sir.
How do we keep it as simple as possible?
That's the whole ideal here. Okay, so here, keeping task times updated makes your Sera price book a living document. Again, this technology is going to be able to go over to all price books, and with the idea of having the margins and all that built in and time built in. And so you can edit the task time, and it's easily made in your price book. So you can go in, you just click on any task that you want. You can do it by department. You don't have to go and look at everyone's price book. You pick a category and you find what you're looking for, and then you make your changes based off of what you've learned. And as you're building this as well, like if you're a new customer and you're actually manipulating the times based off of what you're learning from the reports that you're getting from Sera, this is how easy we make it. And then when you make these time changes, you automatically update your pricing. Not only that, when you make this pricing, the parts pricing, it is updated as well and instantaneously, just in the task that those parts are in. What's really cool about this as well is when you get a price increase on something and a substantial price increase and you want to see how it affects your task, well, that could be a big job, right? So like, what task are these dang things in? Where are these parts at? Well, in Sera, it's pretty simple. You just click on the part and there'll be a number beside it and it'll say 17. And then you click on the 17 and 17 of those tasks will appear where those parts are. And you can look at each one of those individually and see if you like the price or not. If you want to beautify it, we call it, then you can beautify the price and make it what you want. If you want to, or you can leave it as a constant with the margin being wherever you set the margin. Pretty simple. All right. All right. Earlier, we talked about 76% efficiency. The reason I brought that up is because the Gallup poll did a research in our industry, and it says that our technicians are 38% efficient.
Whoa.
So,
Wow.
38% efficient in our industry. And let's talk about what efficiency and inefficiency is. I mean, there's a lot of factors. For number one, a lot of companies bring their techs into the office every day. And when they come into the office, they're talking to the dispatcher or they're waiting to get parts, or there's a lineup of people trying to get parts all at the same time so they can all get to jobs. Or maybe you have a meeting and you're paying these guys for all this. And this is where the inefficiencies come from. Or these guys go and get fuel afterwards. Instead of going straight to a job, then they go get fuel and they go get donuts. And then there's some more buddies hanging out there. And, some more time goes away. And then, of course, you got nothing you can do about is the drive time between jobs. And you just can't do anything about that. So these are inefficient times. And these happen every day. And it's driven our efficiency down to 38%. The funny thing is, I pride myself on efficiency. And I do the best job I can, but even at BillyGo, we weren't even hitting 38% efficiency when we turned this on. We were 36. So it's an eye opener. And the reason we chose 76% is because we're basically doubling your efficiency at 76%. And now, what is this? Go ahead.
And maybe you might answer the question, but yeah, so you guys started at 36% efficiency. Your goal is to get to 76. What is your actual efficiency at BillyGo?
Our goal is to get to 100%.
Sure. Okay. But where are you actually at?
All right. So we're actually in the month of July or August. Shoot, we're in September now. In the month of August, as a company, we were about 78% efficient as a company. Wow. In air conditioning, when it comes to jobs won in air conditioning, we were actually 97% efficient. So a lot of the inefficiency that we drove down was actually on the plumbing side of the business. And we're still getting our arms around that. So we're at 78%, and which is 42 points better, 42 points better than where we were at 36. And it basically what we're seeing is our bottom line has grown tremendously because of these new efficiencies that we put in place and the pricing being correct, right? And so we try to hit a 60% gross margin. So when we come in at a 78% efficiency and all of our pricing's at 60%, then we're going to be at a lower margin for our financial statements due to the inefficiency that we've discovered in the business. And so everyone knows this, that anyone that pays attention to their financial statements knows that you set your price book up with all these prices based on all these metrics that you've been told to do. And then when you get your financial statement, that margin is never as high as those metrics that you set up. It's not even close. And the reason is because you're driving down those margins through inefficiency. Right. And so once you are aware of efficiency, what are you going to do as a company? You're going to start working on it. And this is a really good way to basically double your business profits without adding more people.
Right.
And so this is just getting your arms completely around your company and understanding the efficiencies of your company so that you can improve. We've seen a 55% increase in revenue without any additional technicians across the board for people that have gone on in the first 6 months of Sera. It's just amazing the difference that we're seeing. And we're doing this over other software, where other software were getting their number games off of pen and paper because there wasn't much software, right? we're doing these numbers over other software, not over pen and paper. Right.
Wow.
So this is important, and it's something that has to be done for you to really understand what your business is doing. And I always tell folks that you are already making all the money you need to make. It's just you're not getting it to the bottom line. You're along the way, it's getting clogged up somewhere.
Right.
And then at the bottom line, there's nothing, very little. And this is how we unclog the line, if you will, for all that money to flow all the way down to the bottom line. And this is one of the things that we saw that really changed the game. Of course, you can't just do one thing. You got to know, you got to have margin pricing. You got to,
Right.
you can't use flat rate pricing. It doesn't help you get the numbers that you're looking for. Margin pricing is the same thing as flat rate, if you will. I mean, it's just one price. Same thing. It's just a better way of doing it. If you look at a financial statement, you don't see anywhere on a financial statement under the categories that says flat rate pricing. What you see is you see labor cost, you see parts cost, you see your COGS. Well, that's what margin pricing is. It's built just like a financial statement. Therefore, if you build your prices like that, it will reflect in your financials.
Right. Well, and the other beautiful thing, and this is coming from that and my perspective of being a marketing company, you're not increasing your leads. The amount of phone calls that is coming to your business is still the same, and you're doubling your profitability.
That's right.
As a result of it, right? And that's something, I mean, countless times a week we're having conversations with guys, new companies that are looking to come on board and trying to find a new marketing company because the old one wasn't providing them with enough phone calls. And more often than not, it's not a matter of just getting the phone to ring more. It's how can you be better at all of the other elements within your business in order to make it as efficient as possible. And that's what this is showing you. It's pulling back the curtain on those things that you were oblivious to in the beginning.
I mean, I would be scared sometimes to see this because you'd be like, well, shit, that's a pretty inefficient business. And I mean, that some people might have the blinders on. So,
Right.
and maybe we're kind of derailing away from the PowerPoint. But looking at the efficiency part of things, how can one, if they know that they're going to have a pretty shitty efficiency in their business, if they're going to run this and they're going to get 38% on average, where you guys are batting 78%, how can one prepare themselves mentally for that to happen when you start diving into their business?
So basically, I break it down real simple. The first question I ask is, do you even look at your financials? I mean,
right?
I break it down to the very beginning, and I start coaching them on, your CPA needs to provide you with your financial statements with the percentages at the very end of every line item. So you can look at it as a percent of cost. And so once you develop these percent of cost that are on each line item, now you can effectively look at how can I fix this one? It's at 10%, it should be at 8. Or why was this one at 12 and it's consistently at 8? This month it's at 12, right? And so this is how you'll start breaking it down. So you got to start reading your financials. You got to have a CPA that will get you your financials by the 10th of the month. I got mine about an hour before the show, and it's the 7th today. So they know that I guess the 10th is going to be over the weekend, so they're not even going to mess around with that.
Right.
And because they know not to be late, because this is very important, and I want to know how we did, along with the KPIs that I've gotten from my efficiency and all that, and how did it turn into my financial statements, and what did we actually end up making, right? And so as we add the inventory and parts piece of this, I don't have to wait till the 10th of the month. I can actually see it as we go along, on the day. And so just having this part here, we need to know the financials. We need to walk through them with the percentages, like I've said, and I coach a lot of our a lot of our clients on how to do this, setting it up, making sure that your category is in the right spot is very important. Credit card fees, finance fees should not be in overhead cost. That needs to be up in your COGS, because that is a direct cost to your business. It's not an overhead expense. You never receive the money. And so this money's taken out from what you sold, right? and then of course you get the money on the rest of it, and then that's when you pay your overhead costs and your COGS. And so getting them to understand their financials, and then once they have Sera set up and they've decided on what margin they want to be at, and then they start working on their efficiency, they'll start seeing the advancement, and it's actually rather quickly, because obviously now we're paying attention to it, so we want to make sure that we're doing something about it. And when you talk to your technicians about it, they actually take pride in it, because it's a piece of information they've never had before. And they want to be the most efficient as possible. I mean, our goal is to be 100% efficient, truly 100% efficient. And that's the goal. So we've more than doubled our efficiency in the 4 months that we've been using it. And we've learned from it in the 4 months that we've been using it. And now we know what to do to improve it. So we know we have more work to do in the plumbing, because there's a lot of this and that happens in plumbing more often than just putting in an air conditioner or fixing an air conditioner. And so we're going to improve the process on the plumbing side, and then our efficiency will get up to that 80, 90, 100% that we're looking for.
That makes sense. So I'm curious on that, and we can jump back to the slides whenever we need to put them back up on the screen. But you mentioned a few times, getting the techs on board into efficiency, and they want to be the most efficient. Do you guys run any sort of, I guess, weekly, biweekly, monthly efficiency contests within the business at BillyGo to specifically reward and get buy-in on efficiency from a tech standpoint or an employee standpoint?
Absolutely. So we always are involved with our techs. In fact, we meet with them every week without fail, and we role play every week, and we role play the same thing every week. It sounds redundant, and it's sometimes excruciating to do it, but we don't stop. We do it every single week, because the little things are what makes the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started telling them about this and how it would really help them, and we told them that it's going to be one of our lead KPIs, they bought in, and the revenues have risen. I mean, we're going to do $11 million. We're not even 4 years old. We did $7 million last year. And we don't have any more technicians than we did last year. And so the total overall count is the same. What we did add is more installers, because they've gotten better at selling. And so our install crews have expanded. So this efficiency has really given them some information about themselves. The problem that we have as a company is we always praise the guy that has the highest revenue in the company. And you always have that guy, and maybe there's another guy just below him, but those two guys are the guys. And we're always, whatever his name is, Joe Bob, everything's about Joe Bob because of his numbers, and Joe Bob's all pumped and he feels like he's superior to everyone, blah, blah, blah. Well, the great equalizer is efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no way to make yourself be extravagant in that area. You have to be efficient or you're not. And efficiency is something that everyone in the field can work on. It's not about, some of the information that we're finding is that our number one, number two, or number three guy may have the highest revenue, but they're the lowest efficiency. Their close rates are, we get close rate data, we get all the stuff, but their efficiencies aren't as good, or maybe they're higher than most. It's just, what we're seeing here is it's leveling the playing field for all the techs to actually improve their game without worrying about the revenue being the source of everything. Everything decision we make is based off of revenue. Let's add efficiency to that, and then the revenue comes from the bottom as well. Would you rather get your top guy to be 10% better, or get everyone else 10% better?
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm curious, because this is something that, when I was a sales rep, I used to take way longer than just about everyone else making a sale, but my average sale was a lot higher. So I was a comfort advisor, and that was the case. I was a big rapport guy. I'm a big relationship guy. Like, that's how I operate. And so I would build these great relationships, connect with people. I would get referrals from people. Like, all of that was fantastic. So I'm curious, is there a level at which that inefficiency in time is impeding on the average ticket and it's no longer worth it?
Great price. Great question. So what we do there is basically we want efficiency, right? And with efficiency comes price, right? As you
Right.
get more efficient, you charge more because you know what you need to be charging, right? And so we didn't build it for you to be quicker. We built it based off of what information we've had on how long it actually takes you to do stuff, right? And so, for instance, if you're charging $100 for something and it's got the right amount of time and we're bouncing around between 70 and 100%, or maybe we can't just quite get to 100%, we're at 70. So to fix the plumbing problem that I'm having, because our efficiency is lower, I'm going to expand the time to get it done. I'm not going to cut the time down. I don't have enough time in this situation. So I have got to increase the time. And by increasing the time, yes, I am increasing the price, but can I increase the price to the point where I get pushed back for my prices, right? That's what you do at flat rate. You just keep going up till everybody starts complaining. Well, here you have a science to go by.
Right.
You can actually increase time as your company needs it. I want the guys to be 100%. Think about it like this. If every single guy came in at 100% because I increased the time, we win, right? It's not about it's about empowering them to get to 100%. And that's where the data comes from. So I've got a 3-hour project and it's taking 3 hours and 20 minutes consistently across the board. What am I going to do? I'm going to go to 3:30 and I'm going to give them extra time to get it done. So they're not so worried about the efficiency. But what this also does, guys, if you get it dialed in correctly, one of the things that we have is a lot of the techs that aren't at the top are single task sellers. They only sell a task, or, and we're always like, why can't you sell more tasks? We know when we go to these homes that if we do our job right and do our walkthroughs and educate our customer and give them options, there's more to sell than one thing. Right. And so efficiency, what we have seen is not only do we track the efficiency, but now we track what is the average task sold by tech. And that has increased as well, because now efficiency is driving the extra tasks to be sold. Because the guy wants to be as close to 100% as possible. So he's going to sell enough tasks to get that efficiency where he wants it.
Because it's going to drive up the average time, and then it's going to take, right.
That's correct. And he improves his efficiency, and now he's actually looking for these jobs instead of just like, oh, here's the one task. I don't like selling, whatever his problem is. If he does a really good job of doing what he's supposed to do, showing his options, giving value, the customers respond in a positive way, he adds more tasks to the average ticket, and then everybody wins. We get more tasks sold, he gets more efficiency, more time sold, and everybody's happy. And so instead of focusing on the dollar amount, we start focusing on the time, then the dollar amount increases. It's pretty cool how it works.
It's almost like there was some thought put into this, I feel like.
Right?
Yeah, a minute or two.
Yeah. Over a couple of ranch waters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just a few.
I was trying to figure this out 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
With yellow pad technology, now it's just automagic.
Yeah.
Right?
This could not be done, in the past. Just couldn't be done. And it needed a new way to build software to do this. Today's technology.
Right.
Love it.
And that's the side effects that we see is they're more bought into being more efficient, because every technician wants to be as good as he can at something, but he's tired of hearing about the guy that sells everything. And so we focus on efficiency and training and helping them get better and asking them, what can we do to help you with efficiency? Is the time not right? I mean, we ask these questions. Do y'all feel like we need to add more time to this? And let them decide. And now all of a sudden they are helping us with the pricing that they're comfortable with selling, because they're helping with the time that's on the job, right? And they're trying to make it to where they're being efficient as well. Now, the same thing happens if we're consistently 120% over, right? Maybe we've got too much time in it. Maybe our close rate has dropped a little bit, and we can start seeing this trend that, okay, we've gone too far. Now everybody's 100%, 120%. and we're seeing a decrease in sales.
Right.
So we know we're overpriced at this point, and that's how we can throttle it back, if you will. The other cool thing about it is, let's say, for instance, we've done this. We tried this last month. Let's say that you go out on these proposals and you're rehashing these customers, and you're in the 22nd of the month, 23rd of the month, and you have your goal. Say your goal's $1 million for the month, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. 200,000, 300,000, doesn't matter. And you're tracking pretty well towards your goal, but you're not quite there yet. And you know your break even, and your break even in this $1 million situation is like 750. You've hit your break even. Calls have gotten kind of light. It's, and you go back and you rehash. You can go back and rehash with a lower margin price and you've already hit your break even. So for instance, give you a perfect example of how we've used this. We go back and we know how much we can offer off of that proposal that we gave, based off the fact that we've reached our break even point. We've got 4 or 5 days left in the month, and we want to hit that extra goal that we're trying to hit, maybe $1 million to $1.1 million. And we can go back and lower the margin on all the proposals that we failed at, that we didn't get. Go back, talk to these customers and go, we can charge you $1,000 less or $1,500 less if you do this before the end of the month. And the reason why this works so awesome is because once you meet your break even and you have a $10,000 job and your margin is 50%, let's just say 50. So half the money goes to COGS and the other half goes to overhead, right? Well, that 50% that goes to overhead, you've already paid for your overhead for the month. You paid for your COGS from the job itself. You've already met your goal of your overhead cost. Now you're discounting product at the end of the month to get more sales in, and that 50% goes to the bottom line. It doesn't go to overhead because you've already obtained that overhead number through your budget. You know what your monthly break even is.
Right.
And so now you're selling extra equipment to help finish out the month on a high note, plus the ones you're actually getting as well. And you're hitting all your numbers and you're driving 50% of that money to the bottom line. And this is a quick way to do that. And so you can do all of this in Sera. You know who you went to that month. Every job that you didn't sell automatically goes into a report. You can upload that report into your rehash and then start hitting these customers up, calling them, texting them, whatever you want to do. And you can start doing this based off of reaching your break even of your company. And that's a question everybody on this who's watching this needs to ask themselves. Do you know what your break even is for your business? Because once you know your break even, that's when you can get creative and create a lot of money to the bottom line of your company. And so it's something that you really need to find out what that number is. Your CPA can help you do that. If you don't know, we can help you do that. So
maybe that'll be the next one that you come on. We can dive into that.
Right. Well, you've already gone out there, right? You've already gone out there. You've talked to these people. A lot of them haven't made a decision yet. So you haven't lost the deal yet. It's up to you to get the deal. And the guy that does a better job of contacting these people and staying in touch with these people and going, look, I talked to my manager and we can offer you $1,500 off of this system today if you put it in before the end of the month. And then you're getting these sales because that you weren't getting, and you're driving your profits because you've already met your break-even point.
I love it. Well, and it's funny because that's something that I even asked right before we hopped on. I asked a client just before this, do you have a system in place for following up with people that you didn't book that night? And it was because I was looking at his call log for the day, and there was someone that called in. They needed an emergency AC repair. Couldn't book him in. They said, oh, well, we'll call back if we can't find someone, but ideally we find someone for tonight. And it was at 8:30 at night. Well, what are the chances that they found someone who could come out that night to come and fix their AC? Right? Do you have a system in place so that at 7:30 tomorrow morning, when your CSR comes in, that they follow up with that customer to get them on the calendar if they didn't book with someone last night?
Yeah.
Like such a low hanging fruit. You've already paid for the lead. This was
Right.
an LSA lead, right? A local service ad, Google guaranteed lead that came in. You've already paid for it. Take
Finish the
advantage of
deal.
it.
Here's
That's right.
here's another idea to not just add the CSR in there, but add in an automation to it that when they call into the system in whatever CRM, if the CRM system has the capabilities for this with a specific tag, to send a text out an hour later to that person. Hey, just wanted to see if you found somebody to look at your system tonight or whatever, for that. Now you've sent them a text and they could respond back and saying no. And then, great, we'll call you in the morning. Then your CSR calls them in the morning. Now you've went one step further with automation and you've delivered amazing customer service.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Boom.
All right.
And you can drive all those overnight customers to your website and have them book online, and you get all that info, and then you have a report of all those unsolicited, all those jobs you didn't go to, and you can immediately do that.
And that's why you need to get Sera.tech, ladies and gentlemen.
Book your demo today.
All right. So let's get into the random question and then jump back into the slides. So random question, favorite part of the show. We now have 3 options for you to choose from, Billy, which of course you're familiar with, but you do not get to know the options beforehand. You just get to choose what's behind door number 1, 2, or 3.
All right.
So which
Number
one do you
2.
want?
Number
2? That was the question that I was hoping that you were going to ask. So perfect. What is your favorite magical or mythological creature?
What kind of question is that?
One that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Completely random.
It's a peek behind the curtain as to who it is that
right?
Billy Stevens really is.
E.T.
E.T.
Nice.
There you go. We've been on a pretty big. I saw that and I laughed. We've been on a unicorn kick in our office for like a good week or so. So we've been having a lot of unicorn gifs and emojis coming up. So I think that's where Mallory probably even just made that question up. So great one.
That was good.
But I do like the movie E.T. I have watched it numerous times back when I was little. So,
Awesome.
All right, back to
We
the
did
slides.
have a question come in.
Sure.
They asked, and I'm not sure who it is, so it must come in the Facebook group, and I'm not on that page right now. Can you show online scheduling on the customer side? So I think they would have to probably book a demo to see that, hey?
Yeah, they need to book a demo, and we can show you how all that works.
Sweet.
Just go to Sera.tech, TECH. We're not set up to do it here because we're controlling everything from Canada instead of Dallas.
I could throw my VPN on and go to the BillyGo site, but then you might get some random people in there. So Sera.tech, there's the URL for you. All right.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. See what we have next. So we've heard about KPIs all of our careers, and KPIs are very important to us. I consider in my world, there's 4 KPIs that I concern myself with, and I highly recommend that everyone should concern themselves with. And then you have all the others that I call PIs, which are just performance indicators that affect the 4 KPIs. And if those PIs aren't directly affecting these 4, don't spend any time anymore on that KP or that PI, if you will. We get so many KPIs out there that we get numb to them because all right, well, I'm in that range that I need to be in, so that's fine. And you just gloss over them because you're studying them so much. But you need to be able to transfer that information and know if it's affecting these 4 KPIs. And those are margins. You need to know your margins. You need to know how you're affecting them. And this is what we do in Sera. We directly affect your margins. Obviously, we affect your efficiency. A lot about what we talked today was about how you get your efficiencies taken care of. And so your KPIs must purposely help the efficiency of the business. Okay. The third one is memberships. Memberships are an integral part of every single business. It's getting harder and harder and more expensive to acquire customers. And if you're not getting these folks on a membership and making them use you over and over again, you're wasting all this money. Earlier, you said, Evan, there was a guy that or person that called in and wanted to use you because they needed more calls. Well, had they had memberships, they would be able to reach out to their membership base and not have to spend any money. In fact, the members are paying them, and you use the funds from those members to market more so you can get more members. It's about owning your backyard. This industry is changing really fast, and it may not be changing for you and your business. Maybe you're not noticing it, but around you, this industry is changing by the day. A lot of things are going to be happening in this industry. There's a lot of consolidation. There's a lot of partnering going on. Manufacturers are getting involved. More involved in stuff. Distributors are getting more involved. Of course, software is getting more involved. And a lot of these, we're all teaming up to build better products. And this is moving at a very, very rapid rate. And we've got a few big announcements soon about some partnerships that we've created. And it's there to help everyone to get better at what we're doing. But memberships make you control your backyard. You want to own your backyard. No matter how big your backyard is, if you go 20 miles away and that's it, you need to own that 20 miles. If you go 10, if you go 50, you need to own that area, and you own it through membership sales.
Just on that note, I know the theme and the tagline that we mentioned for the show was, how do you eliminate your shoulder season? That's how you eliminate your shoulder season memberships.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So BillyGo right now has about 9,000 air conditioners under contract. 9,000. You think we're going to be busy in the off season? Mm-hmm. I think so. We know the age of every piece of equipment, not just the average age of one piece of, like for instance, you go and if you do get a serial model number, if the technician does get that for you, in our software, we force that to happen. We make that happen. And then we can actually get the age of every single piece of equipment, and that is included in your membership. And so now that we have this opportunity to know what every piece is, maybe you put in a new coil 2 years ago, but the other two pieces are still 12 years old. And you need to know this information. This is how much we dig down into this info for you, so that you're more encouraged. So when you do a report to do marketing to your members and non-members about the age of the equipment, you're not leaving out those two 12-year-old pieces, because you just replaced a piece that's 2 years old. So that was your last service call. So the records you have in your current software says 2 years old. All right. And we have the ability to get the age of every piece of equipment. And then that equipment is logged into the software so that you can use it for rehashing and marketing. It's not a tag. We don't use tags at all. So you literally have an age or birth date for each piece of equipment. So if the coil is 2, next year it's 3, the condenser is 12, next year it's 13, it automatically ages everything based on its installation date and our manufacturer date. If you didn't originally install it, you go from the manufacturer date.
Right.
And so we keep up with this information so that you can continue to market to these folks and go, look, Mrs. Jones, you got 2-year-old coil, but everything else is really still old. We'd love to come out and talk to you about upgrading those as well. Mm. All right. So this is what memberships do for you. They give you a lot of information. They help people become sticky to you. You don't have to market to them anymore. They give you the funds to market, and then they give you enough work to keep you busy during the shoulder season. Why do we need to be busy in the shoulder season? Because we want to hire the best techs when everybody else's techs are sitting around. And so if you have enough work to add in good techs every winter, you're going to naturally grow your business every spring. But you have to commit to membership so that you can be sure that you can make the payroll during the shoulder season, right? So it all comes together. And getting this income from these memberships and having all this equipment available to you allows you to hire these guys. And then when your next year comes, you can grow your business. That's how we grew by $4 million this year, because we were able to find the best techs. That's how we've done almost $26 million in our 4 years of being in business, is because we were able to find techs. We never have an issue finding techs. It's just never been a problem for us. And the reason why is because we can provide them good quality leads, and we can do it all year long.
Right.
And then
With your,
go ahead.
I was just going to ask, with the memberships, you do have on your website some special promos in terms of certain groups, first responders, military, teachers, seniors, where they're getting a free membership. I thought that was really unique. Are there certain caveats that you have to that, or you just give it to everyone as like your special give back to those certain individuals?
That's how we get back. Exactly.
Yeah,
And so it's a zero cost membership that we have. It's a different membership. We have zero charge for it. And so we're not receiving any revenue from that. And those are the way that we give back to, you know, first responders, seniors, people like that.
Love it.
And then of course, the last one on there was EBITDA. And I'm sure you've heard of this. If you haven't, it's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So simply put it, it's the cash flow of the business.
Right.
What is your cash flow of the business? The industry as a whole is 6 to 8%. That could be plus or minus. I've seen it all over the place. Typically, the companies that get on Sera immediately get into the 20% range. I have a few companies that are in the mid 30s on EBITDA, which is a crazy number.
Right.
BillyGo is 27% right now. And let's just talk about that for a second. So 27% of 11 million, let's just say 10 million for easy math, is $2.7 million. If you go to 11 million, it's 2.97. All right. So $2.97 million of cash flow that is coming off of a $10 million, $11 million business. I've seen businesses 50 million that don't make $3 million. Right. And so always chasing revenue doesn't chase money, doesn't bring you profitability. What brings you profitability is efficiency and organization and everybody understanding what the goals are, right? And knowing numbers. And once you do that, you'll start chasing the EBITDA instead of the revenue. And what actually happens is revenue obviously increases as you get better at improving your EBITDA. It just hand in hand works that way. And so if you focus on these areas where you're not getting the money to the bottom line, your business will grow organically because you're doing a much better job of managing a business. And that's what we help you do at Sera.
Phenomenal. Well, I think this is a good time to re-say again the Sera.tech. The last slide, by the way, was a QR code thanking you. So when you download the slides, the QR code does point to Sera.tech, by the way. So Sera.tech is the website. If you want to get in touch with Billy at Sera.tech, reach out to them, facebook.com/SeraSystems. And of course, if you want a copy of those slides, text the word slides to 855-968-4116.
Now, you had a special offer regarding EBITDA that you were wanting to throw out in terms of Sera and what it was that you're hoping to do moving forward. Is that something that you're wanting to announce now, or that's still coming?
I can announce it for this show. And this is for you guys until we do an official announcement, but I'll give you a head start. So basically, we're looking for 100 companies that'll join Sera, and we will increase your EBITDA by 25%, or you won't pay for that first year. So in year 2, you'll basically get the discounted rate from the first year. Now, if you're the first 100 to come out and do this, we will improve your EBITDA by 25%, or it's free. It's just that simple. It's a strategy that you can't pass up. I mean, you really need to improve it, right? And we're getting much higher number than that. Across the board, it's about 55% improvement. But so we know for a fact we can do 25 with one arm behind our back. And I believe anybody that has a business and is serious about changing things to make it work easier, work better, give your employees a much happier place to work, not the stress, better software that's very easy to work, that's very intuitive, and it has a lot of automatically developed things in it. This is where I think you should give us a shot and let us show you how we can improve your EBITDA by 25%. And if we can't, software is free.
Yeah, free software for a year.
Right?
Yeah, that's simple.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a win-win either way.
And I can't imagine that promotion's going to go very long, because I imagine there's
No.
going to be quite a few that are going to jump on that. So if it's
Correct.
something that you're interested in, again, Sera.tech, schedule your demo today so you can take a look at the software and all of the features, because we just touched on one feature today in terms of efficiency. There's so much more to this software than that, and it is truly phenomenal. It's changing the game. And as Billy talks about even on the show, it's updating constantly. They're constantly coming out with new features, new aspects to help you run your business better. So please, please, please go check it out. It's free. It's a free demo. Just go check it out and see if it's a good fit for you and your business.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to us today.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up, we do have one last question for you. And yeah, I think you know it's coming, but you can't say the last two answers from your show. And if you need to know what those are, you can look at our private chat on the side. You should be able to see them. Mallory pulled those up. So, Billy, what is one question that you wished people would ask you more, but don't?
All right, I can't use the other two, and I haven't seen them yet.
Well, if you say the question and it is one of the other ones, I'll let you know. I'll go by like a buzzer and put my arms up above my head.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ask me again.
All right. So, what is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but they don't?
This is always so hard. How about, and I should know this, but now I need to start writing these down before I do this show. Make my job easier. I get so tied up in making sure I have the right tequila.
There you go, right?
Priorities. Hey, no one's going to fault you for that.
All right. So, what type of tequila do you like best?
All right. Well, what type of tequila do you like best?
Código.
Código.
All right. I'm just going to leave it light there. We'll just talk about tequila. How's that?
I actually was about to buy the other day I haven't had. We tried it when we were in Miami last, Evan, was the Rocks tequila, the Terramana. And actually, I found it at a liquor store here in my town. So I was going to buy it, but I was like, I went for the whiskey instead. So I don't know but I should have, knowing that we have you on. I know you like your tequila. So have you had the Terramana, the Rocks tequila?
I haven't. I'm going to give that a shot.
Give it a go.
You know what? For a fairly affordable bottle, it's pretty good.
I think it was like $55 Canadian, which is like, $10 US. So I was telling Evan the other day, those jokes never get old, and the dollar equivalent always changes. So which is good. So but
and the other question they should ask is, do you drink every day? And the answer is no. It's just on this show, basically, and sometimes on the weekends. So
only on the days that end in Y. That's
right.
That's it.
Yeah. I tried the other week of not drinking on school nights. So basically, the school night is any day that I got to work the next day, and then I'm like, well, shit, I can't do that. I got a show on Wednesdays.
Yeah,
like just calling sick every Thursday.
Yeah. Well, the tequilas they make today are not like the Cuervo Golds of old, where it would just basically gag you when you drink it, right? You had to be crazy to drink that stuff. The way they make it now, distill it now, it's just become a sipping tequila. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind having one of those, every once in a while, just to take the edge off. We spend a lot of time working, especially, as many companies as I run. It takes a lot of my time.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple minutes.
Right, just a couple minutes every now and again. Well, I will be the first to say thank you for taking the time out of your day to sit and chat with us. Always a treat, always a pleasure. Can't wait to the next show where we dive into one of the other many, many, many features of Sera. So thank you, sir, for coming on.
All right. Well, thank y'all. Enjoyed it.
No worries.
Appreciate you, Billy. Take care.
Right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.